Hello, Fredak here. Fred ACC, all one word. Alrighty. It is Thursday, July the 10th. It's about 2 p.m. East Coast time. Why do I put these things out there? Because I don't want to be accused of redboarding anything. First up, I want to thank you all for being here today. And Fredak has these things called notes, a couple of scribbling words anyway, for whatever the heck they're worth. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. I thank you all for being here today. Have numerous postings going on, something about the real estate world, and I do want to share a couple of very interesting things with all of you who have subscribed and who do catch the Fredak postings. I'm not hawking any pens or t-shirts or look down below, hit the link for this or that. I'm not deriving my income from this. That might change. I think that there's going to be a tremendous explosion on the Fredak site. Why? Because Fredak is on here absolutely free. All of this is free, except the cost of the education if you get involved with things and they don't pan out, and that's possible, which is why Fredak tries to tell all of you, work with the stuff that you're comfortable with. Don't overextend yourself. And by all means, check everything out from everybody, including Fredak. You cannot just think that your brother-in-law or Fredak or your sister or your neighbor or your buddy is 100% correct. There's so much fake BS going around. And now with the AI stuff, it's scary what's coming. That's why each of these I start off with the scammers. Watch out for the scammers. The scammers are swarming. They're always swarming. As I posted a couple of days ago, the biggest scam game out there is probably the Wall Street financial world. If you really take a step back and think about it, where can you commit white-collar crimes for $20 million and get away with a slap on the wrists? Many times, without admitting or denying anything, you just pay a fine. Yeah, you stole $80 million from the Fredaks of the world, the Joe Schmoes, 9-to-5ers. So you admit, but no, you don't admit anything. You just work out some kind of a deal that I'll pay a $7 million fine without admitting or denying anything. That way I go right about my business and on to the next one. Well, there's a whole slew of names. Each of you can do your homework. You can find these people that are prolific scammers. They get involved with these Wall Street companies. And you know what? Over time, they grind their way to a handful of millions of dollars. They're not all going to be Bernie Madoffs into the billions, but hey, it pays the bills and then some. Like I said earlier, I want to thank you all for being here. This is XRP Game Change. It's at about $2.46 when I looked a few moments ago. It's about 2 p.m. East Coast time, Thursday, July the 10th. And I don't try to redboard things. Maybe 12, 13, 15, 16 days ago. I'm not even sure what it was. I could look it all up. I could have wrote it down on my notes here and tell you all, go look at this and go look at that. If you're subscribing, you're watching this stuff, you know that I was talking about the ETF XXRP. And I told people what I did. I bought 350 shares at $23.66. It's an ETF. And I bid for it. As it was starting to turn to go upwards a little bit, I thought, okay, I think this is going to be okay in the long-term picture. I also think there's the possibility that this XXRP could be a vehicle to look at towards, it's a 2X. It's supposed to be 2 times the volatility of the movement of XRP. How they're accomplishing that, I haven't looked into all that yet. And if any of you have any insights, please post it down below. Don't want to bounce around too much and get lost on my trains of thought, and I'm sure that I do that to you poor folks out there quite a bit. And I'm going to share this with all of you. One of these days I'm going to get into the 21st century of technology. I'll start streaming the day trading game. Short-term day trades in a couple of seconds, couple of minutes, couple of hours, position trades for a couple of days. That's what I was going into with this XXRP ETF. I thought on an upsurge I'd get out, but right now you always have to be prepared to make adjustments. I'm to the plus side on it, and it's in my IRA, and I have the thought that this is going to surge a bit higher. Why do I think that? I've posted this numerous times on here. Volume, volume, volume. Volume is your best friend. That's my opinion. It doesn't mean that it's correct. I always say you got to check everything out. You got to do your homework. You can have your own thinking. That's what you should have, your own thinking. I'm of the opinion, I think that volume is a very critical thing. Why? Because I've watched the Wall Street world. I've chased around the block for a lifetime, for most of my adult life. And there's trillions of dollars slushing around in the Wall Street world. But if you ever notice when a certain stock has something that pops up about it and has a surge, a couple of days before, the volume starts to increase. There's people out there, that's all they look for, is volume surges. Something normally trades 4 or 5 million shares per day, and all of a sudden it's trading 16, 18, 22 million shares today, and it's up a little bit. Tomorrow it's got another 23 million shares traded. They're starting to take a look at that. Is this something that I want to get onto with the momentum as it's moving to the upside? Volume, volume, volume. Alrighty, where does that sit with XRP? What I have noticed, going back 6, 7, 8, 10 days ago, on the 1 minute chart, am I 100% positive that this is accurate? I know what I visually see is accurate in my mind, but it's hearsay to each of you. You got to go and check it. But on the 1 minute chart, and I'm looking at the Yahoo finance site, the daily chart for XRP, and I'm looking at the spikes for each minute. A pretty decent spike would be 12, 20, 30, 40 million units, tokens, traded movements, whatever you want to call them. In the last 2 or 3 days, I'm seeing spikes of 100 million or more. Hello, let's be real. Why is stuff like that moving with 116 million units within that minute? Somebody's wheeling and dealing and making deals. And it ain't Fred Ack, and it's probably not the Joe Schmoes of the world, the 9-to-5ers. Let's get over these notes here. Volume, volume, volume. Alrighty, let's think about what's going on. Hello! I try to bring things your way that you're not going to get from all the other talking heads. And I do tune in to listen to some of the talking heads. A lot of them are very clouded with a lot of hopium. And that could be good and it could be bad, because it could wear an individual down to, like, how long am I going to wait on this thing to become a multimillionaire? Well, gee, spit, you might have to wait a little while. Those things can happen. Unless you buy a lottery ticket and you hit the Powerball lottery, and then it's kind of instant. The next morning you're like, holy spit, I won. Outside of that, you're probably going to have to sit tight and let it grow. Let it grow, let it grow, let it grow. That thing's not for me. Alrighty, so here's something to think about. And I'm going to chat more about the volume and how to play the volume game. There's a lot of learning within the learning. For those of you who do subscribe and do catch this posting, and I'm not trying to induce people to send me out a message or hit the likes or the don't likes or whatever, but down the road, if the site explodes and I have a lot of views, I'm probably going to close it off. But for those of you send a message that says, Fred Ack, I want in, or something like that, if there's some way to grandfather you in, you will be grandfathered in as my early subscribers, the smart ones. Because it's going to be hard for somebody to step into this game 3, 4, 5 months from now, 8 months from now, when I'm streaming, and people are like, man, this guy's on top of things. He shows us how to make money almost every day. It's phenomenal. But again, I'm going to go back to the big fish analogy. Guy and his wife and his 3 kids are starving, haven't eaten in 2 days. They're at the pier and they're like, who's the best fish? The old man down over there, he's the best. He catches fish all day long. Excuse me, sir, My wife and I had 3 kids. We haven't eaten all day. 2 days. Maybe you should catch a fish for us. He's like, oh, hold on a minute. Grabs a little bite, pulls in a nice size, whatever. I don't know, flounder or whatever. Well, here you go. That'd be a big flounder to feed everybody, but whatever. The point being that him and the wife and kiddies will eat okay tonight. Another 2 days later from now, they're hungry again. You go back to the pier, like, oh, I'm looking for the old man, the guy that really knows how to fish. Like, oh yeah, there's some sad news. He keeled over, he passed away, he's gone. Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Whereas if I would have asked the old man, can you teach me how to fish? I can catch fish every day. I'm gonna try to share with each of you who's subscribing how to start to look at things. And again, it's a really tough game out there. You're playing in the big leagues with the real money. It's a tough game. I'm gonna profess this over and over and over to all of you. When I start streaming, I gotta figure out, I gotta go on these cameras. I gotta use my cell phone here underneath some umbrella by the pool. But we're gonna get there. For now, I would suggest starting to look at some of the day trading 101 clips that I've posted. I believe in every single one of them. There's nothing that I post on here that I'm not 100% behind it. Alrighty, let's get over to here. Some stuff about XRP. And you don't want to check out, you definitely want to check out the numerous postings. Put something else out there about the real estate collapse. But today it's XRP game change. And I think it could be game on. And we'll be following this up. Alrighty. Here is something for us to think about. Hello! When you hear that hello, that might be time to just cue in a little bit extra. Most of the big names at Ripple, think about it. They could have gone anywhere. They could hang their name anywhere that they wanted. You got X this, people that retired from that, or they could have gone to BlackRock or Goldman. They'd love to have their names on this. But where did they choose to go? They went to Ripple. Hello, that should kind of tell you something. Okay, I got something here. When did the Fred Acts of the world, the 9-to-5ers, get involved with the institutions? There's not that many opportunities. Like I've posted on some of my other postings on here. I'm sorry to be redundant. In your area, 10, 15 miles away, there's an area that's starting to show a lot of growth. Houses growing, businesses going, dentists, doctors, pediatricians, this, that, food stores. And they're building this huge shopping mall. Target, Walmart's going there, and they're just starting because they bought up the land. If you go and approach whoever the developer of it all, say, you know, I got about $17,000. I'd like to get in on it. I could have maybe a lifetime annuity stream of money coming in. They're going to laugh at you. They're not going to care if you have $17 million. They've got the deep pockets. They don't want you coming along for the ride. It's kind of how I feel about XRP or if, when, or whatever XYZ becomes the future global currency of the world. And everything's pointing that something is going to go in that direction. I personally think it's going to be XRP, and I've outlined it many, many times on here. And I try to get on here every couple of days to keep everybody in the game, stay focused, don't have too much high expectations too quickly, and don't get burned out by all the hopiums and blabble you hear from all the talking heads. They're just looking to increase. I got 71,000 subscribers or viewers. I need more. Everybody wants more. I got to get more. I want more. And that's okay. That's what makes the world go around. It's capitalism at its best. Alrighty, we are going to revisit the volume thing in a moment in the trading world, but okay, there is one opportunity where you can jump on board. You can piggyback along, and I've given this example in the past. Somebody like Warren Buffett, he makes a move. They have to file a 5K or 10K, I forget what the form is, but there's a form out there, and things are always evolving on the Wall Street world. And do I stay on top of it? I'm straightforward with you guys. No, I don't. I don't sit there and read all these different things. Like it used to be T+3, trade date plus 3 business days for your money to clear. think that it moved to T+2 and then T+1. If you're a pattern day trader account, $25,000 or more, $1 or more over, you can buy and sell, but as long as you don't go into $25,000, you get 3-to-1 leverage intraday. So think about it on a pattern day trading account. If you have $30,000, and if any of this doesn't gel in your head, play it back from the beginning. Play it again, Sam. My humor is boring. Well, it's important to have a grasp of what it is that I'm mumbling about. So with $30,000, you're getting 3-to-1. That's going to give you $120,000 worth of buying power when they ring the bell at 9:30, or even in the morning if they start at 7 a.m. East Coast time until probably 8 o'clock at night. I don't recommend trying to battle outside of the market hours because everything fades down. You end up having to buy from the offer or sell to the bid. It's very hard to get anything in between. Whereas when there's lots fluctuating around, if you're in like a very high volume active trading stock, there's a lot of little different things that I can show people on how you're able to buy close to the bid price or at the bid price or a penny higher or halfway between the spread if the spread is 7-8 cents like on the ETF XXRP. What I've started to notice is usually about a 7, 8, 9 cent spread between the bidding price, the offering price, which means a person out there could automatically sell to the market at that price. If you don't want it to be gone a split second before you hit that button, which is how it works, then you want to put it in to sell with a limit price of the bid price. If the bid price is, let's say, $31 and it's bidding $31.53, and you want to definitely get $31.53 and not get a downdraft, because a split moment before you tap that button to enter the order, somebody else might have just put in an order to sell 17,000 of them at the market. It goes down 13, 14, 18 cents, 28 cents, go down $1.50, and then you're selling to the next highest bidder that's out there. And it is important to start to understand the bid and offer and how the game is played. Why? I'm going to get into that in a moment. I'm going to show some examples to all of you. So where was I? I was at the spot of how you can capitalize on that Walmart Target building the shopping mall, or on XXRP. If you have some big entity like Berkshire Hathaway, which is the head honcho, is the very well-renowned Warren Buffett, you know that Warren Buffett is employing a tremendous crack team of accountants, and they're poring over all the individual earnings reports, everything from that particular oil company, or whatever company it might be, technology company, whatever it is, banking institution, whatever it is. So when they make an announcement, which has to be done publicly, that they've surpassed a certain percentage ownership of that company's stock, there's paperwork that has to be filed, and it will be the talk of the Squawk Box world on the financial TV show, more than likely. And usually when that announcement is made, at that point, the stock is already on a surge upwards. So yesterday, if the stock price closed in the $74 and change range, it might be $84 and change today. Okay, so you're giving up a pretty decent move to the upside, but you're getting to piggyback along with all of the, it could be a 10, 12, 16, 18% move to the upside. And I understand that you are giving that up by jumping on board, but if you're buying on board to just ride along with the smart money follows smart money. It's not a famous saying for no reason. It's pretty reality. Smart money follows smart money most of the time. It's not a guarantee. There is no guarantee. But if you think about it, if you buy that stock at $84, whatever technology, banking institution, whatever that the Berkshire Hathaway got behind, more than likely a year and a half from now, you're going to be profitable on that. You might not be, but you have to figure that they've done their homework. They're looking at the big picture, the economic boom and busts of the country, of the world, what's going on with the United States Congress, Senate, bills being passed, House, Those are the things that people are looking at, the things that the big money's looking at. And it makes sense. As the elections are approaching, come November of a year where there's a lot of stuff moving around, like a presidential election on the line, you're going to see a lot of the big name institutions voicing some opinions about, if the Democrats take control of this, these handful of stocks are probably going to fare well. If the Republicans take control of this is probably what's going to happen. These are the ones that will be in favor, out of favor, and whichever way the election goes that evening, by the next morning, when the stock market is in play, they are probably going to be. And why is that happening? Because we, as a herd mentality of human beings, it's self-fulfilling. We make it happen. Which is why I've voiced many different opinions about why I don't think there's a very strong saturation level to the majority of crypto. People have heard of it. They know of Bitcoin, that it has surged. Most of the individuals are not speculating on Bitcoin. At least I don't think they are. Maybe they are. That's possible. But I don't think that they are. It's just too high priced. It's not there for them. I guess the bottom line is that if you have $20,000 and you want to invest in Bitcoin and you think it's going to double in price, if you buy a fifth of a Bitcoin and it doubles in price to $200,000, you could sell the fifth of your Bitcoin for $40,000. That's possibly, quite possibly in play. Absolutely. What I learned from the boiler room days of the stock market, when I cut my teeth on things in the early 90s, what I found was that people wanted to own 4,000 shares of some $1.30 stocks. They could tell their friends or cronies at the backyard barbecue, oh yeah, I got $4,000 of XYZ, MNOP or whatever. Rather than to say, I own 10 shares of Google. But the reality is, the 10 shares of Google that you have, you'll probably have a much stronger chance of making money, because those small price stocks, the penny stocks, they tend to be very manipulated. And that's what I'm also seeing, and I spoke about that in one of my recent postings just a couple of days ago. The swarming in, the surge to the greatest casino in the world, which is the Wall Street world. Trillions and trillions of dollars of liquidity there, and it's just ripe for the plucking. You got to be careful of what's out there on both sides. If you want to short things, you want to go long on things, you got to be careful what you're doing. If you're buying something that was $2.80, now it's $5.90, 3 days later, you got to be a little cautious. Why? Because the big money, they know we could suppress that thing to the downside, short like mad to everything that's buying from at the market on the offering price. Then we'll lean on it through us, through our friends. Yeah, there's things called painting the tape. You can go look those things up. There's a lot of different market manipulation. There are ways to spruce up a certain thing to make it look like there's a lot of volume going on. There's numerous games within the game going on, which we're going to try to get. And I've dabbled on a little bit about the game within the game at some different intervals. But let's get back over to the notes here. So, when it comes to trying to get on board with the big money, that opportunity was there for XRP, and I still think that it is. But with the volume increases that I'm seeing over the last 48 hours, something's afoot. Because a lifetime of watching this stuff has shown me that, I'm not going to say collusion, but there's a little bit of like, this is how it usually works. Somebody finds out something that's going to be happening. So the first thing, what do? They fill their pockets with gold. But then they can't keep their mouths shut. I gotta tell somebody about this. I gotta tell Jerry, my brother-in-law. Or Jimmy, my cousin. Or my landscaper. Manny, the landscaper, he's a great guy. I don't want to see him miss out on this. And I'll be honest with you, I did plenty of this a year and a half ago with XRP. Then I finally stopped. People that I knew within my personal world, I was like, you don't want to miss out on this thing. It's like 38 cents, 39 cents. Finally, I just said, you know what, I'm all done. And then I came onto this thing called YouTube, and I put out Generational Wealth back in October. You're welcome to go back and look at it. You should go back and take a peek at it if you're new to the FredAx site, but I'm bending everybody's ears way too much, and I didn't want this stuff to stretch on like this. So let's get back to the bid and the offer, the important stuff here. If you have something like an ETF, XXRP, it's supposed to be a 2x fund. What I noticed about it is that it has an expense ratio of 1.89%. Is that accurate? That's what I saw online. I'm not 100% positive that it is, but it probably is. So if it's trading, let's say, I'm using fake numbers, $31.53, $31.61 offered. That's the bid and the offer price. At any moment, I can try and buy some, and if I want to get in front of everybody else, I could put in to buy 1,000 at $31.54. I will instantly be the highest bidder there. Now, many of the trading big firms have these different things that they can set it up that they will automatically go a penny higher than me. And you'll see a beep. It's $31.55. You make yours $31.56 to go a penny ahead of them. You're cutting the lunch line. Beep. $31.57. That's telling you something, that there's buyers out there. There's probably deep pocket money buyers. Well, not a guarantee, maybe not. If it's $31.53 bid, $31.61 offered, and you go in at $31.54 to buy, 54 cents, you're not guaranteed to own anything. Buyers could start taking from the offering, and it could start to surge higher, and people could leapfrog your bid to $31.57, $31.58, $31.60. The offering could be all the way up to $31.67 offered, with the 7 cents spread in between. And there are people on something that's very active, they'll just bid $31.54. Bing, they'll get hit for 3,000 shares. They'll turn right around and put it for sale at $31.60. If bing, they're done, they just made 6 cents on 3,000, $180. Took them like 9 seconds. So it's insane. That's why it's called video crack, the day trading world. But like everything else, one of the most important things for all of you who have listened to FredAx and said, have a notebook if you want to learn the game, write this down. You want to write this down. It is not an easy game. It is a tough game. Gosh, it is a tough game. There are days where it's just so easy. Just chop, chop, chop. You're just grabbing 180 here, 350 there, da, 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 da. And what do you know, at the end of the day, you're ahead $700. You're like, what did I do for $700? That's a whole other aspect of it, the psychological aspect of it. Most of us, FredAx of the world, are indoctrinated into, you go out and you work 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. You sweat, you dig ditches, or you sit behind a desk with a suit and tie, but you sweat like mad, whether it's with real estate or whether it's with insurance stuff, or whether it's this or that, or whatever it might be. And then all of a sudden you get into the day trading world and it's like, wow. And you can win, you could lose. You have to remember that it's a zero-sum game. If you made $700, somebody out there lost $700. But there are ways, and you got to know the game. Knowledge is power. The knowledge that you have is the power that you have. Understanding the game, the last thing you want to find out is that there's some quirk that you didn't know about. What? I didn't know that? Oh my God, it just cost me $2,000. It's brutal when you learn those lessons the hard way. So back to my XXRP. I have 350 of them. I could lock in my profit now, but the way that it's acting, my game plan was to take an 8-9 point gain, which I'm there already. I'm at 8 points. I'm deviating away from my game plan, but part of it is being able to change your thoughts somewhat on the fly, somewhat. Today's Thursday, going into the weekend tomorrow. XXRP seems like it's acting very strong at $2.46. It's on the high end of its range. Yeah, you can listen to all these talking heads. They're looking at the charts, smoking this, and Johnny Crypto that, and Susie Crypto, Crackhead Crypto, and all the other crypto. Everybody's got some really interesting moniker. And they're looking at the chart. The chart says this. You got a head and shoulders, a pennant, and this and that. That stuff. If enough people are looking at it all, it could become self-fulfilling. I personally don't believe that it is. And I have already professed on here that I think XXRP, and my apologies, I'm mixing the two up, XRP, the token, I think it has somewhat started to decouple away from Bitcoin. Still, if the crypto world is rising, the tide is rising, more than likely XRP is going to rise with it unless there's some kind of negative specifics about the Ripple company or about XRP. And vice versa. If things are on the downside, things are going red, then people are selling. It's kind of the way that it goes. High tide lifts the boats, low tide lowers the boats. Understandable. But I am of the thought, and other big talking heads that have the tens of thousands of subscribers, and they think that it's going to decouple soon. I think it's already started to happen. I see percentage moves on XRP, and I just feel it's only a question of time. Sooner than later, you look at what XRP, the company, the Ripple people that are the team that runs Ripple, what they're doing. And like I said in the beginning of this, all these big name people, they could have gone anywhere and hung their name, their shingle out there. And they'd be happy to have them. This is the ex-Federal Reserve person. This is this, this is that. But they're going to Ripple. Why? Because they see the potential down the road. And you're not going to get those big name people to come on board with you if you offer them, I don't know, $200,000-$300,000 in salary. No, they're offering them some kind of incentives, whether it's some kind of like, not an option play, but some kind of like tokens or something that if the price goes above this price here, you get, I don't know, 50,000 of them, plus your salary or whatever, or who knows how much. I wish there was more transparency from the Ripple company. And if anybody has any insights towards the Ripple company, what they're holding in escrow, what they're releasing, something's going on out there. Something's going on. I see the volumes getting larger amounts. And if these things are moving 100 million or more at $2, and so I don't know what price they're getting them at, but whatever it is, there's some big money behind this, the movements that are going on. With all that being said, subscribe. If you want in, if you want to be grandfathered, I'm going to start to put this out on all my postings. Those who say, Fredak, I want in. If it ever gets to be a closed channel or you have to pay to join it or whatever, and if I can ever find a tremendous deal, I will share that out with you people. I've said it many times on here. I will never sell your soul nor my soul without being upfront with all of you. I want to thank you all for being here. I hope all your days are winning ones. Any questions you might have, post them out there. Let me get this out there for all of you.